Okay, so let me just start off by saying that generally I am not a New Year's resolution maker. I'm kind of firmly in the park of thinking, if I want to make a change, I am going to make it as soon as I make up my mind to make that change. If I want to make a change, I'm going to make it right now. I am not going to wait to January 1st in order to make that change. But get this, a study that was published in the Journal of Clinical Psychology says that only 46% of people that make New Year's resolutions actually follow through on those resolutions. So that's 54% of resolution makers that actually fall short of their goal. Now that sounds pretty horrific, right? But it's actually not that bad. Because if you were like me, if you didn't make a resolution, but you just made a goal, something that you just wanted to do in the new year, the same study shows that only 4% of non-resolvers are going to achieve that goal. 4%. 4% versus 46%. That makes the 46% success rate sound pretty good, doesn't it? Okay, so obviously we are going to be talking about running because running is kind of what I talk about. But first I want to tell you the top 10 resolutions that people actually shoot for as the new year rolls around. The first one is to exercise more. The second is to lose weight. The third is to get organized. The fourth is to learn a new skill or hobby. Number 5 is to live life to the fullest. Not really a fan of that one. I mean, I'm a fan of the concept of living life to the fullest, but to make that a resolution, it's not really specific enough. Number 6 is to save more money or spend less money. Number 7 is to quit smoking, but I'd be surprised if anyone watching this channel right now is actually a smoker. Number 8 is to spend more time with family. Number 9 is to travel more, and number 10 is to read more. So just to keep this video running focused, we're going to be talking about the first one, which is to exercise more. So let's say you are one of the millions of people that actually want to exercise more moving into 2022. What are the steps that you need to do to actually make sure that is a realistic resolution, to make sure you follow through on it? Well, the first thing you have to do is to mentally prepare for the change that you're going to make. And that comes with a bit of self-reflection. We have to look back at what we did last year. What were your goals for last year? What did you achieve last year? And most importantly, what didn't you achieve last year? And remember, guys, this is most important. This is something that I want you to take with you throughout your running journey and actually throughout your life journey. But as you move forward into tackling your goals, I want you to remember we are working towards progress, not perfection. So with that in mind, I need you to stay positive. You might not meet every single goal that you set for yourself, and that's okay. You need to stay positive. Try not to make any big changes that are so big that they are overwhelming. Incremental gains is what we want to see. And once you make those incremental gains, you build on the small changes that you make, and over time, it's like a snowball. It builds on itself, just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. By the end of 2022, you are going to have come a long way. You are going to have met your resolution, and you're going to feel really good about it. And as I already said about we're looking at progress, not perfection, you have to allow yourself to make a few mistakes. If you tell me, Matt, listen, I want to do some kind of exercise 5 days a week, every week in 2022, I'll be like, excellent, that's a really good goal. But there's going to come a time, at some point over the next year, there's going to come a time when you might not be able to work out 5 days a week. You could be sick. A family member could be sick. You could have a busy time at work. Who knows? Give yourself the freedom to just accept those setbacks. And rather than let it shut you down, move on. Pick up where you left off and move on. Now, the second thing I need you to do is to set a goal that actually motivates you. And while this might seem obvious, it's really not. Your goals can be coerced by perhaps your spouse, your kids, maybe someone you work with, maybe someone on the internet. Don't let those people coerce you into making goals that you're not ready for. Make sure the resolutions that you set are aligned with your goals, your priorities, your dreams, and your aspirations. So an example of what I'm talking about is that you hear a lot of talk about the marathon, even from me. I happen to like the marathon distance the most. But my friends, that is not the be all and end all. If you are working towards a 5K, if you want to set a 5K goal, that is just as fantastic a goal as running a marathon. Don't let me or anyone else in your circle influence you to making a goal that doesn't actually fit your goals. Does that make sense? I think I'm throwing around the word goals too much, but you know what I'm saying? Your resolution has to be for you. The third tip to making a successful resolution is to limit your resolutions to something that is manageable. And to show you something that's manageable, let me tell you something that isn't manageable. Let's say I want to run a park run every single weekend throughout 2022. Now, while on paper that actually is a manageable goal, a park run is only 5K, it's definitely a doable goal that you could run a park run every weekend. But You could also set a goal to say, I want to run a marathon every weekend. And while that is also doable, it's probably not manageable. Things are going to come up. There are going to be setbacks throughout the year that make it impossible for you to achieve your goal. So if you have a goal that is more manageable, you can always build on that. So taking our first example of running a park run every weekend in 2022, a more manageable goal might be, I want to run at least 20 park runs in 2022. Now this is a really great goal because 20 park runs is a pretty impressive goal. But let's say you get to the 20 park runs after the first 4 months. You can always build on that. You can adjust your goal. Listen, it's 2021, we're moving into 2022. Your goals for 2022 are not cast in stone, but it's easier to build on them than to pull back from them. Mentally easier. The fourth thing about setting resolutions is actually to be specific, and specificity is absolutely key. You've heard me talk about SMART goals in the past on the channel. SMART is just an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based, time-sensitive, something like that. And that's why I was saying that the resolution of living life to the fullest really isn't a SMART goal. It's actually not a SMART goal. It isn't specific, measurable, or time-sensitive. It may be attainable, it may be relevant, but without the other three, it doesn't count. It's not a SMART goal. So let's just go back with our example of running 20 park runs in 2022. That's a pretty specific goal, but to make it even more specific, you could actually outline the park runs that you want to do. And that's easily adjustable because let's say you don't do a park run one weekend, you could always roll it over to the next weekend. And that's where having that wiggle room of only 20 park runs within a year, that's where that comes into play. The fifth way to make sure your resolutions come true, though resolutions should be a little more than a wish, is by breaking up bigger goals into smaller goals. So I've kind of committed to this 20 park runs in 2022 as my example of this video. You can actually break that up into, I am going to do at least 2 park runs a month. So you are committing to running 2 5K races every month for 10 months. That gives you a 2-month buffer, and perhaps this year goes fantastic and you have no injuries, you've got no other commitments that stop you from running a park run, and you can knock out those 20 park runs by October. But then you've got November and December, and then it's all gravy. All those extra park runs that you do, they are just making your resolution even stronger. So it's very difficult to look at the big picture. It's like something, it's too much to just take in. That's why we break up big goals into smaller goals. The whole thing of incremental gains. The sixth way to make sure your New Year's resolution is fulfilled is to write down your goals. Now, I've already put out that call to action. I want you to let me know about your goals in the comments of this video, but more than that, I need you to write them down for you. Now, here's the reason. A year is a long time. Relatively speaking, a year is a long time, and it's natural for us to become forgetful. We might be distracted, but if we write down our goals and we've got it somewhere where we can see it, we can focus on that, we're not going to forget about our goals. But more than that, writing something down establishes intention. It's like you are committing to your goal by writing it down. When you write something down, it also acts as kind of a guiding light. So you are just like me. We have millions of decisions to make every single day. But if you have got that written down, it kind of takes the guesswork out of what you have to do with your intention. You know that you have to knock out a park run this weekend, so you can keep moving in the right direction for your goals. If you have a list of other things that you have to do that day, washing the dishes, washing your clothes, washing the car, it's all about washing. Well, look, those things can be put to the side and you can take care of them after you have fulfilled your goal for that day. And your number one goal, in the case of this video, is to run that park run. The seventh way to make your resolution stick is to share it with someone else. Now, obviously, you are going to be sharing it in the comments of this video. That's good, but I also want you to share it with your partner, with your friends, with your local running friends. I want you to share it on social media. Sharing your goals is going to keep you accountable, and it's going to make it a lot harder for you to back out. It's also going to come back to you. It's going to be in the back of your mind on the days where you don't want to work towards achieving your goal. So it's the morning of your 10th park run, and it's cold and it's rainy and you really don't want to get out of bed. You just want to spend a few more minutes in bed, but if you do, you'll miss your park run. Being accountable to others is a great way to get yourself moving. Now listen, there's a fine line between doing something for somebody else and doing something for yourself. This is always going to be about you, but me and all your other running friends, we're here to hold you accountable. That's what friends do, and that's why you let people know about your resolution. The eighth thing that I want you to do to make your resolution happen is to automate as much as possible. And by automate, I'm saying take the decisions out of the day of making the decision. So an example might be the night before the park run that you have to do, you set up all your running clothes. You remove all the barriers, you have your clothes laid out for when you get out of bed. So all you have to do is get out of bed, pull on your running clothes and have a cup of coffee and head out the door. Another simple thing is to set a reminder on your calendar. So perhaps the day before you get a notification that says, hey, you've got a park run tomorrow morning. first thing in the morning, another notification. Hey, get ready for your park run. And the final way that I would say that to automate things is also tied into the last one of letting people know about your resolution, and that is to make plans with people to do your resolution with. That way they are holding you accountable. You've already made plans, so that's kind of automated, and you are going to be getting through your resolution in no time. The ninth thing that I need you to do to make sure your resolution of running your best in 2022 is to review your resolution on a regular basis. We've already kind of alluded to this. We're going to make our goal of running 2 park runs every single month for 10 months, and then we've got a 2-month buffer. But what happens 1 month in summer when the weather is just totally gorgeous, and it turns out that you can actually run 4 park runs in a month? Well, now you are way ahead of schedule, so perhaps it's time to revisit your goal and to add a few park runs to it. So if you know you're going to be able to do a park run every weekend throughout the summer because the weather is so nice, perhaps you can increase that goal, increase your resolution in the middle of the year. That's totally okay. There's really no rules to this resolution malarkey. You can increase your resolution in the middle of the year to 25 park runs, and that's totally fine. And that is a way for you to keep moving in the right direction, keep progressing along your resolution. You got to keep your eye on the ball, my friends. And by reviewing those resolutions, that's how you're going to do it. And the final way for you to successfully achieve your running resolutions in 2022 is to accept that you may fail. And if you do fail, all you have to do is get right back on track. None of us are perfect. We are all going to mess up at some point, and perhaps at some point that pull from your bed, that black hole of your bed is just going to keep you sucked in there, and you are not going to be able to go out and take care of your resolution, which in this case is a park run on a rainy, cold day. It's totally okay. There are other weekends. And because you have that buffer, because you have set a resolution that is manageable, you are going to be able to cut yourself some slack and know that you're not throwing your whole resolution down the drain. All right, guys, thanks for staying all the way to the end of the video. My name is Matt, and this has been my 10 tips on how to achieve your running resolutions moving forward into 2022. Make sure you let me know about your running resolutions in the show notes below. Oh, you know what? I did actually start this video before making a resolution of my own, and it's difficult. Okay, so let me just throw out a couple out there so you guys can hold me accountable. I have run in 2021 about 3,000 miles. I want to run less in 2022. Now I say that because my 3,000 miles hasn't always been manageable, and I have felt like a slave to my mileage earlier in the year when I was running a lot higher mileage, and I did get injured, and I think that's mainly to do with running so much mileage. So I just want to run less next year than I have this year. Another resolution is to eat less bananas. After the Jacksonville Marathon, where a lot of you tended to blame my performance on those dodgy bananas I picked up the day before, I think it's time I cut down on the bananas. Guys, I'm going to be relying on you. Hold me accountable. Be kind, be happy, run well. I'll see you in a couple of days.